right, now that we got the pre-show show out of our system, do we even need to really talk about it?
No, I just hit it 5 seconds before.
Hello, everybody. Oh, man. Yeah, the pre-show show. Dave waits until like we're 10 minutes into talking,
No.
10 or 15.
It wasn't. It was 10 seconds before you hit the music.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought the whole conversation, because I was going to say, we have to talk about this on the show, but then I thought maybe we've already talked about it.
And he's
anyway,
such
Dave,
a compelling conversationalist that I just got caught up in the amazing things he was saying.
there's another term for what kind of conversationalist?
Amazing.
Amazing, cunning, something. I can't remember the word, whatever you use.
Compelling?
Compelling, yeah.
Yes.
There's a word for that.
Oh.
There's another word. It begins with B and it has initials B and S. BSer. Yeah. So anyway, hey, welcome everybody. We're doing a Friday afternoon show. And actually, I kind of like Friday afternoon shows because we get our Saturday back.
Yeah.
But at the same time, usually on the weekends, there's not a lot new. You're just rehashing what happened in the past week anyway. Yeah. So, and we'll get to more of the sports talk at the end. But
right. But the reason we did the Friday show, and you notice we're set up for a studio with 3 participants, and guess who's not there?
Elijah.
No. Yeah. There we go. Our Passover dinner.
Yeah,
the Seder. No, Marty Quinn asked us to, there you go. Marty Quinn asked us if we could move our podcast to Friday afternoon for him. And we set it up, and 2:00 and 2:30 goes by, and no Marty. So you called him.
I called him.
And?
I'll let you say it.
Well,
you say that
Marty said I was looking at the wrong day on the calendar. I guess he's
the wrong time or something.
Well, anyway, I don't know. Is he in Oklahoma City now?
I have no idea where he is.
But anyway, he's scheduled at 3:00 with someone else, and so now he doesn't have time for us. And so, Marty, you missed your spot, and we cleared our Friday afternoon for you.
We cleared our Friday for you.
Anyway. And voters, make your decisions accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, it would have been good here because we've had Bob Sullivan in here. Yeah. Now you can get my close up, Mr. DeVille. Yeah. We can get it all squared away there.
There we go.
Are we in? Yep, we're there. Yeah. It's funny because we've been able to get Bob Sullivan in here a couple of times, and now, no Marty Quinn, so he'll just have to. Now, there's a possibility. I haven't checked our schedule yet for next week because there's several people who wanted to come on, but we'll see. It might be a chance of squeezing Marty in next week. But man, it's the Saturday before the Tuesday election. I'm sorry if he was too busy this week, he'll probably be even busier next week.
What date is the runoff?
It's a week from next Tuesday. The 21st, is it? I think that's the 21st. Yeah, it is. It's the 21st.
Wow.
I know. It's kind of late. I'm used to, things being early in the month. So
because I think the way they set it up is the 3rd Tuesday in August, which could be as early as the 21st or the 27th.
Okay.
See, because like 2 years ago when you ran, your election was like the 27th or something.
Hey, I did just think of this. We do need to discuss, and this is one of the things we really wanted to discuss with Marty, and that is him. It's been revealed that Marty lives in Arkansas, but he's running for the Oklahoma insurance commissioner. And it's funny because we have a stockbroker, an investment expert in another office here in my building. And he was telling me, we were talking about it, and I told him, Marty Quinn, so he's interested in who we have. Anyway, and so he was saying something about Marty, and I said,
why don't you say, who did he tell you he was going to vote for?
Yeah, he was inclined to vote for Marty.
Right. So he was in Marty.
He wasn't really. He didn't know, and he asked someone else, another insurance agent.
Yeah.
And the guy said, "I'm voting for Marty Quinn." Well, and then I said, and then we kept talking, and somehow it came up the fact that the news that we do need to talk about here, and we would have asked Marty that about it, is the fact that he lives in Arkansas and he registered in the last election. He was registered to vote in Arkansas
and voted.
He voted in Arkansas, and so how do you live and have an insurance office in Arkansas, but you're running for the Oklahoma insurance commissioner? Why not run for the Arkansas insurance commissioner? And so there's this other, the stockbroker said, "Oh, that can't be right." And so I'm sitting in here, and about 15 minutes later, he comes on. "Wow, you're right. How can you do that?" And I don't really have a good answer. You're the political expert on how that works, that you can actually live in one state, has your residence, but be elected to office in another state. So
I want to go, it was in the elections of 2018, Attorney General's race. Mike Hunter had been appointed by Mary Fallon to finish Scott Pruitt's term because Pruitt went to Trump's EPA position. And then, of course, he ran for his own term. Gettner Drummond challenged, and Gettner filed a challenge against Mike Hunter that he's not qualified. For that office, it says you have to have lived in Oklahoma for at least 10 years, and you have to have lived in Oklahoma the previous 5 years coming up to that election. And Mike Hunter hadn't.
Right.
He'd been a lobbyist with Frank Keating in Washington, D.C. and living in Virginia. So his argument that somehow saved his candidacy for Mike Hunter was, but I kept my voter registration in Oklahoma. For qualification purposes, the election board goes by, are you a registered voter in Oklahoma? Wow. This case doesn't even meet that criteria.
Right.
Because Marty switched his voter registration. So for purposes of elections, he is a resident and registered voter in Arkansas. And which means you kind of disavow your Oklahoma residency. You know,
now, is it possible, which is a question we didn't get to ask, but that he re-registered in Oklahoma once he decided to run for insurance commissioner?
Yeah, I just wonder what he lists as his residence. You know, yeah, I mean, look, it just, the heart of it, he looks like a carpetbagger. Okay. Because we've had them from time to time. I had a guy from Broken Arrow wanted to run for a legislative district, and sure enough, he gets an apartment 6 months before filing, and it gets out in the news, and it destroyed his candidacy because people like, oh, we want one of us representing us.
Right.
Not somebody Sarah Huckabee Sanders wants, encourages to run. So it just doesn't look good. And I haven't heard a good response from Marty. I don't know if he has one. I don't know if he's afraid of my questions, because I have been pretty vocal. You've been a little more coy about it. I've been outspoken, I know. And maybe
I just found out about it. I didn't think about it until, today, that he was supposed to come on, that this was something we needed to ask about.
Yeah.
And point out to people. As I said, here's the thing. I guarantee you 95 or more % of the people, the voters, don't even know that.
Right.
And I'm sure the insurance, what we have here, we have 2 insurance agents, okay? The difference is Marty specializes more in personal lines, auto, home, whereas Bob, his experience has been in the commercial business.
Right, including agriculture.
Right, exactly, farm, ranch, and that type of thing. So you've got 2 different groups of people working at it here. But anyway, but I guarantee you that a lot of people don't know, including these insurance agents that seem to be supporting him. So I don't know. It's one of these things we'll see. But we did want to ask him about it.
Well, yeah, and I think
honestly, to me, any answer would seem like just politics. You know, that he said, yeah, I have a home in Arkansas. I live, but I have an office here too. I work here occasionally.
Hot Springs, Arkansas is a long ways away.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't have. See, here's the thing too. You don't have to. Like, I have a license. I have licenses in New Mexico, Texas, Kansas, and I'm looking at getting one in Florida because my son's there. So I can even get California if I want. Mm-hmm. And don't tell anybody. But when I went to Uganda last time, mm-hmm. I was operating my office out of a hut in Uganda with Wi-Fi. Yeah, it was a nice hut. But no, it did have Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. And so when you have Wi-Fi, and a cell phone mm-hmm. on WhatsApp, which is free international calls, mm-hmm. you call someone, they don't know where you are, or whatever. So it's easy to work, and especially in the Medicare business, almost every Medicare agent that I know has licenses and does business out of state. Yeah, in other states.
Well, the thing I want to say, when Scott Pruitt became Attorney General, now he's from Broken Arrow, had been a senator in Broken Arrow for the Oklahoma legislature. He did a lot of his work out of the Attorney General's office in downtown Tulsa in Houston, the state building there. He got lambasted for not going to the Capitol on a weekly basis. A lot of times he just worked out of the Tulsa Attorney General's office. And that's not violating any statutory law or constitutional requirement. But think about it. Just working remotely out of the Tulsa office got criticized. How about the Hot Springs office? Because again, Hot Springs, Arkansas is way in, south central Arkansas. It's a good 4 or 5 hour drive from here.
Oh, I know.
I went there spring break when I was in college here, and it's a pretty drive in the rolling hills, the Ouachita Mountains. Oh, it's gorgeous, but it ain't Oklahoma. And you just can't do it. So it'd be one thing if, Mark Wayne Mullins' ranch is literally right on the Arkansas border. Well, okay, so he could have an office in Westville and then another one in Siloam Springs, but big deal. He's on the Oklahoma border. This ain't the Oklahoma border. Mm-hmm. So I want to say to Marty's, the advantage he has, over Bob Sullivan is he has years of experience as elected official, no real scandals or anything like that. So, let's give him a fair review and say, he's been pretty good, not as many bills as some of the others have championed, but generally probably one of the better senators for conservative voting. No scandals, showed up for work. So I'm going to give him his due on that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is an issue. I mean, it depends on how you feel about someone living in Arkansas, running for office in Oklahoma. Yeah. He would have to spend a lot more time here in Oklahoma in the insurance commissioner's office. But we'll leave it. We report, you decide. Eddie, you're an Oklahoman by choice. You were born a long ways away.
A long way.
And I was born in Minnesota. I'm an Oklahoman by choice. Right. We want to live here.
Right, exactly.
And do we want to elect a leader who doesn't want to live here? There you go.
Well, I think we know where David stands.
That's my talking point. That was a good soundbite, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, we know where David stands. So anyway, that's it. We report, you decide, okay? Getting into a bit of news before we get into the big news, which you'll decide. But anyway, I came across here. This is kind of a little weird, but the United States Department of Health and Human Services began a decertification of a place called Network of Hope. Now, Network of Hope is essentially a hospital, or they work with hospitals, and they're a procurement organization that procures body parts for transplant operations. Have you heard about this? Did you know this? Okay. So when you die and you put on your driver's license that we can take my heart, my liver, my anything that's good, my brain especially, it would be nice if they could transplant my brain. But anyway, this Network of Hope was serving Kentucky, parts of Indiana, Ohio, and West Virginia. Okay. Now, this gets better. Okay. They're investigating and wanting to take their license away and shut them down following federal reviews that uncovered serious patient safety failures. Okay. Now this is where it gets good. This organization, Network for Hope, the federally designated organ procurement organization serving Kentucky and other states, they have basically been using body parts from people that weren't dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's only a few cases that you can do that, like donating a kidney.
Right.
You got two.
Oh, right. No, that's true. So the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services initiated the decertification action after investigations revealed persistent safety issues, including instances when the organ harvesting process was initiated on patients who still showed active signs of life. CMS, Robert Kennedy has pulled their license and is bringing to light these cases of dark practices. Network for Hope's chief executive officer, CEO, stated that the organization plans to appeal the federal decision, maintaining that it remains fully compliant with organ procurement and transportation network policies. It's funny, my wife and I switched. My wife and I used to be against organ donating, and I was for it. And now I when I renewed my license, I took that off, and then she went the other way.
Yeah.
But this kind of, I want to be sure that when I'm dead, I'm dead. In fact, that is one of, you know how you have nightmares, and you can think of a nightmare.
I don't know if I have your kind of nightmares.
Yeah. Mine are darker. No, but anyway, mine are more pigmented.
Yeah, there you go.
But anyway, I have this thought of, being put in a coffin and I wake up and I'm buried 6 feet under, And so that would be being buried alive, I think, is probably the absolute worst way to die.
Remember that movie, I think it was in 1977, called Coma?
Oh, yeah.
It was about this institute that just had all these bodies suspended in a coma, and then they would just sell body parts. And yeah, it was really freaky. But, when that decision was made to put it on the driver's license, to be an organ donor, I happened to be talking to my new senator, Don Rubottom. And I said, what's wrong with that? It's a good thing. It could save a life. And he said to me, he says, could end yours sooner. He says, depending on the values of that emergency room physician, that he might decide, let's
pull
the plug while those organs are still fresh, and we can get them in some other body. That's kind of called utilitarian philosophy, and so, I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah, I hadn't either, really, to be honest with you. But it shows you, see, there was a day when people valued life, especially physicians. The Hippocratic Oath was do no harm. and whatever you can do, as long as it's in saving the life and not doing it the other way, that basically is what the do no harm means. And so now you've got these scrupulousness people out there.
Yeah, but you know how, here's the deception. Because I heard one of them justify this attitude of that. It's like, well, don't you want to be like Jesus, who sacrificed his body to save ours? But is it some physician playing God deciding who gets sacrificed and who gets saved?
And how much money are they going to get for their various bodies?
Oh, there's another thing. I mean, geez, I just got a statement from, family members' recent surgery. It looks like we're going to be about $80,000. And
it's probably not that major compared to some others. I mean, it is, Medicare costs are so high, and I don't know, I'm not going to get into it, but let's just say it backs up against the whole immigration issue, but the whole thing. And, but yeah, it is expensive, and getting body parts is just, see, to me though, there's more than just a financial aspect. I think sometimes people that want to go into surgery and be in the medical profession, they like to be able to do things that nobody else can do.
That's just it. One day I was at the Capitol and I'm talking to Nathan Dahm about a particular somewhat medically related bill, medical marijuana. And we were wondering why Dr. Yin and Dr. Ritz were some of the toughest ones to deal with. And Nathan Dahm said, yeah, it's a God complex. They teach it in medical school.
And teach it in medical school.
The God complex.
Complex is 201.
But here's the thing, Eddie. You and I are against economic socialism as an economic, but there is a socialism in healthcare where the commodity of exchange is bodies. And the vaccine policy hits the same basic thing, is they want all of us to get vaccinated to create what's called herd. What is it called?
Herd instinct.
Herd protection. Protection. So that if 80% of the herd is immune from getting something, it's very unlikely to spread communally in there, because the chances of spreading, because everybody's immune, right? Or 80% of them are. And they want to force that 80% so that their select 20% who they give exemptions to, and they claim it's because of their frail health. Well, who decides who gets protected? Who's frail?
Yeah.
And so they want you to sacrifice your health, because all vaccines have a risk. They want you to sacrifice your health for somebody of their choosing.
Right.
That's a socialism. And that's why when I was talking to this bunch of moms that would go to the Capitol for vaccine rights and stuff, they kept arguing for medical exemptions and health exemptions. And I said, no, you got to include philosophical, because it's not necessarily Christian. It's not necessarily religious, but it's against the socialism using your body for those whom the doctors decide is worth protecting. And I will decide who I give a kidney to, but I won't let them decide to harvest my kidneys without my say so.
Right. And that's how they should do it. That you should be able to put in that end of life agreement that you decide who it is, and they come to you, say, but see, here's another aspect to it though. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I think you alluded to that a little earlier, and that is, if they come and tell you, oh, you only have 7 days to live and da-da-da-da. Well, there's this little thing called miracles
Yeah.
that you might live.
Mm-hmm.
And how do I know if we've got guys that are into this? Well, we have a 18, 20-year-old that has better use for this liver, heart, whatever, that's still in good condition. They have better use for it than you do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's just get rid of you.
Yeah.
Let's the obsolete model. Let's just take it out there and replace it. It's almost like a scrapyard for autos, where they'll take an old engine and they'll redo it and put it in a new car or parts of different it's just totally wrecked, but the brakes are still good, or this is good, that's good, and the way the morals of people are today, doctors in the medical profession, we hear, and lawyers, the people who should have the highest moral standard tend to often, in fact, not have the highest moral standard. And there's the real issue. And how do we know, how can we trust the standard these people are going by? And I don't want to, just slam the whole profession, but we know it exists. The abortion doctors, when it becomes cash, and sometimes it's not about money. It's about, like you said, playing God.
Yeah.
That is God complex, that I want to do something no one else has done, and I want to be able to decide and control who and how and who lives and who doesn't, that kind of thing.
Eddie,
it's just crazy.
Help me out with this, because I know you understand this concept, but you and I both read the book by C.S. Lewis called The Hideous Strength. Mm-hmm. And in there, C.S. Lewis, who's a Cambridge professor, right? He's giving us an illustration of some educated people who got more snowed than the more common people. The rednecks. They have some sense that it seems the educated people have lost their sense.
Well, we don't have to go back to C.S. Lewis. We can go to Washington, D.C. And see the Democratic Party and some Republicans in the Republican Party that checked in their brain at the door when they walked into the Capitol.
They don't know what a woman is. And our academic temples of great higher learning all have lost their minds.
Yeah.
Why would I pay a dime of tuition to any of them?
And here's the catch. Here's the problem, that some of our so-called chieftains in the medical profession got their undergraduate degrees in these same institutions of lower learning. I call them institutions of lower learning. Yeah. Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Dartmouth, these places, that Columbia, that should know better.
Yeah.
And these are some of the worst people in the world when you see it. And so I'm going to trust my life to these people. We're in a sad state because the whole moral mores of our society today are just messed up. They're just messed up, and it's after decades and decades and decades of
it goes to what Dr. McCullough called mass platform psychosis, where the whole of a community has such groupthink mentality that whatever the consensus of the educated are, they just accept as true, because nobody wants to be excluded, shunned, or not part of the clique.
That's exactly right. Shunned is the word. And you what is that song? One of my favorite songs. It's called Cool Kids. Mm-hmm. And it says, I just want to grow up to be one of the cool kids, because cool kids, what is it? Cool kids, they always get something. I can't. I'll have to. I'll play it for you guys. It's a Christian.
But the problem is
group that made it secularly. I can't remember the name of the group right now, but you got to hear it, and it really is a good song, and it tells. And we think that this is something among teenagers or kids or even college kids, but some people never outgrow it.
Yeah,
Anthony Fauci is the perfect example, which we'll get into him in a little later.
Yeah, but Nathan Dahm, I'm quoting him again, because one of the things he tried to do in the Senate is get rid of some of the more ridiculous state licensing requirements. Like, you ever install something like, say, a Ring doorbell on your house? Anything like that? A lot of those things you can do, but you can't do it for hire without a locksmith and alarm installer's license. And you can braid your hair, but you can't braid somebody else's hair for money without a cosmetology license. And
so that massage practice you were running that we went to, are you licensed?
Okay, here we go. So, and here's the funny thing, Eddie. As soon as somebody complies and gets their licensing, all of a sudden they are for that requirement because they had to pay their dues. They don't want somebody else getting a better deal than they got.
Right.
And plus, they figure it'll cut down on competition.
What was this private college, beauty college, that used to be here in town? I cannot think.
Platt College was one.
It was the one before Platt. They were around before Platt.
They've had a whole bunch of them.
In fact, Platt may have put them out of business. Anyway, the founder and owner was a friend of mine, really nice lady. But anyway, became very wealthy through it. But she told me how she got started. And she was in college and realized she didn't want to do it. And she just figured there's got to be a better way, And she became a dental hygienist. And she said, well, I know how to do this. I could teach others how to do this. So she went and somebody told her, well, to start a school like that, you got to fill out some paper, get a certificate to be able to do it. So she realized this is crazy how easy it was.
Yeah.
All she did is fill out a form, boom, pay some money, and she's got her license. And so what she did, she took an ad in the Tulsa World that if you want to be a cosmetologist, a dental hygienist.
Okay.
Because later it developed into the other. But anyway, you want to be a dental hygienist, call me and I'll get you licensed. And she did it. She started out in her apartment and then moved into rented a place and then got bigger and bigger and bigger. Ended up becoming this multi-million-dollar operation. It was on Sheridan. You know the big building at the corner of 41st and Sheridan?
Yeah, Community Care has a school.
Right. Well, that used to be
somebody else. I forget
somebody else's school. But anyway, they ended up doing automotive school, cosmetology, the dental hygiene thing. So all of these little specialist practices that are under a college degree.
Yeah, because you're teaching a trade, which doesn't require you to have a teaching certificate.
Right. But anyway, that's how she got going in this and trained hundreds, if not thousands of young people.
The funny thing is, my dad, his brain blew up when I was 52 because of a dental hygienist screwed up.
Wait a minute. His brain blew up.
So
it swole and got big, or it exploded?
Both. And he lived.
Oh.
And that's what blew everybody's mind.
And then it blew everybody's mind.
So get this. He's born weighing 3 pounds, born on the kitchen table at a farm. Wow. Okay. That's how they did it.
Did they put him in the oven like?
They might have. I don't know.
The jockey.
He weighed 3 pounds when he's born. And he had a deformed valve in his heart. They found out much later. And because of this bad valve in his heart that they knew about, it didn't keep him from serving in Korea. No, but people with that kind of condition where it kind of creates a backwash. Anything where you're going to bleed, they want to give you an antibiotic ahead of time to keep from a blood infection. So he goes to a hygienist. He's 52 years old. His gums bleed. And he gets a staph infection that he doesn't know about, but it gets in his heart and it grows. And then part of it broke loose, went up to his brain and caused an aneurysm. I saw the CAT scans. That aneurysm was the size of a softball when it blew up.
Oh,
size of a softball in his
crazy.
brain.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then
did it bulge his head?
No, because it's all contained in his skull. I talked to him the week before. He was just talking about this intense pain, and the family doctor just says, "Yeah, take aspirin." Which, when the brain blows up, what does aspirin make you do? It makes you bleed even more. Yeah, so this was one of those rare things where he survived, but guess what? About 6 months later, now he was in the hospital for 4 months. He gets home. All of a sudden, the symptoms coming back. That staph infection's still alive in his brain because the blood-brain barrier, it won't let the antibiotics in. So they had to go in and amputate. They cut a square out of the back of his skull. They did a 3D blueprint, everything, and literally took out rotted brain tissue.
Oh, man.
One third of his brain. And I talked to the brain surgeon afterwards. I'm in the waiting room, it's like 8-9 hours. He says, there's a little bit I couldn't reach with my fingers. It was behind his eyeball. So I washed it out with peroxide twice. Think about that. A man's head is opened up.
This story's getting worse and worse as you go.
But see,
Clorox. We couldn't find the Clorox.
They settled in a lawsuit, malpractice with the dental office, and they ended up only getting like $75,000. But that was 30 years ago.
I'm amazed that 30 years ago they were able to cut out this square of his skull.
Actually, it was 45 years ago.
Oh my goodness, that's just
44 years ago. It was in early 83, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. But godly man. My dad is a great man of God, and he lived another 25 years.
Wow.
Almost completely blind. And then his cognitive skills really slowed down, but could talk to him. I think his sense of humor was what really went bad. He just dumbest jokes. But anyway, that was my dad. But so I just want to say about licensing, you would think that they would know some things when you're dealing with healthcare.
Yeah. And
they just didn't do it. So anyway, we're talking about licensing.
Yeah. It was the story that I had. And it began with the story about people taking organs from people that weren't totally dead.
Yeah.
They weren't totally dead.
Right. And you could end up dead sooner if they think there's a chance. Because you know what they do, and you hear it a lot in the news, they don't give you an update or anything, and you find out what it is they've got them on a machine to keep their organs healthy, but they're brain dead, and they're waiting for the family to all kind of come to a consensus. If there isn't an advance directive, you need everybody to be on the same page.
The way I'm reading this, though, it's beyond the brain dead, that the brain may not even have been dead, that these people just, wanting to harvest these organs. And, we all see these nightmare movies like you were.
Yeah, the movie Coma was
right, and there's others where people are kidnapped, and in TV shows even the Blacklist I know had a big thing where they've been running this organ harvesting.
Well, there's a recent one I heard about out of North Korea. They're literally selling brains. A man's brain is $100,000, but a woman's brain's only $10,000. You know why that is? The woman's brain is used. See if he gets the double entendre.
No, I was expecting it to be the other way around, but
I know. A woman thinks I'm about to put a woman down. Really, I'm saying no. She uses her brain.
Okay. In any event, this has come up now that so be careful. The story out of this is to be careful on who you let take care of your health and the scruples and everything they have.
Absolutely.
let's go into politics a little bit. Elections this week.
And some other states.
Right, in other states.
By the way,
Michigan.
it says our runoff is the 25th of August.
Or is it 25th? What did I say?
21st.
21st. Okay.
So
it's the, I guess the last, excuse me, I got something in my eye. The last Tuesday of the month.
Yeah. Okay. Since I said another date, or you did, I thought we better correct ourselves now.
Right.
But Mr. Franklin, who's running for superintendent public education, has gotten himself in a little trouble.
Yeah.
And the mother of a special needs kid hung on to a voicemail from years ago where this special needs kid was physically assaulted by Mr. Franklin, and he admitted to it. And
he's admitted to it now.
Yeah. Well, he did in the voicemail.
Oh, in the voicemail.
Yeah. He literally grabbed the kid so hard by his ears, his fingernails dug into behind his ears. Yeah. So,
which is not good. It's not good. At least he'll probably say in their thinking, or at least it's not sexual assault. It's not a sexual misdeed. Those other ones aren't as bad. The sexual misdeeds are the ones that will get you.
You're dealing with special need kids, and it could be any number of reasons: behavioral, developmental, who knows what, physical. I don't know. But hey, if you don't have the patience for it, you don't belong in that line of work.
Right.
And this is the guy who's going to be overseeing every other certified teacher in public education. So anyway, interesting thing. It just goes to character and trust. Yeah. I mean, Eddie, you and I have had bad days. I get it. So he had a bad day here, but you got to face this stuff,
Yeah. For honesty and openness, I'll say I'm a James Taylor guy. Is it James Taylor?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden I'm thinking,
just like the musician.
Yeah, all of a sudden it hit me. Wait a minute, it sounds like the musician. Anyway, I'm a Taylor supporter, but I will say this: for one outbreak or outburst or action that he probably regretted afterwards, and how much harm did he do?
Well, I don't know. I mean, my real reasons for being against him are much like what Steve Bias said.
Yeah. Oh, no. Right. No, that's what I'm saying. Let's let the issues be the issues and not bring up, like you said, you don't know that, he let his anger get to him in that moment or whatever. If there's only one instance, I mean, I think I remember going to Catholic school.
Oh, that was a daily occurrence.
Hello.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, no, I get it.
The I was trying to say capital punishment.
Yeah,
the corporal punishment that they would put us through was ridiculous.
Right. If I was a state certified public education teacher, and I know the person who ultimately I'm accountable to, which is what Franklin's running for. You just have to wonder, are they going to go easy on other people because of their own embarrassment and failure themselves?
At some point, yeah.
Because most teachers should be suspended for physical altercations like that. And again, there's one thing.
Okay, you said suspended.
Yeah.
Not fired necessarily. Right. And so, no, I'm totally with you on that. Yeah. All I'm saying is I don't want to get to the nitpicky thing. The guy had a bad day. Who knows what the kid did, how frustrated he was, or what happened at that moment to cause him to grab his kid and shake him.
Right, but if that teacher gets suspended and it's written up on him, and now he wants to go apply for another job, the next school district would be wise to look at, okay, has he had any disciplinary actions for misbehavior as a teacher? And they would look at that, and that would weigh in on that.
Right. But again, if you have a reason that it happened one time, because there's a whole lot of teachers who may not have any evidence of a physical altercation with the student, but the mental abuse that they put the kids to, and other things,
Oh yeah.
To me, there's greater priorities. I want this to stick to what it's really about.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And again, I'm totally supporting James Taylor, and I just don't think that this one occurrence, because we would be upset if they pull that out on a Republican. The one, find this one thing that he did way back, 20, 30 years ago, like they did with Trump. When he was a Democrat, nobody cared.
This was 12 years ago, yeah.
But 12 years ago, yeah. And so we don't like it when they do it to us, and I don't want to do it to them. And now the funny thing is he's a Republican.
Yeah.
So, it's an in-house issue.
Well, my brother Paul was in Boy Scouts in Order of the Arrow, right? Fraternal Order.
I've been in the Order.
And the person who headed up his particular conclave was a teacher, nearby school district, who had one of these incidences, but they let him teach. And then he strangled and murdered one of his students that he got angry at. And he got life in prison for it. So, you just have to wonder, hey, do we wink and a nod and then they kill somebody?
Right. No, and I don't think they did. He was suspended, right?
He got suspended and they got his job back, and then he killed another student.
No. I'm talking about Franklin.
Oh, this Franklin? I don't know what happened.
No, but so that's what I'm saying. I mean, the difference between that one and Franklin is Franklin didn't kill anyone.
Yet. No, it's just, Eddie, you have to pay attention to these things, because if you don't, handle it, they think they're going to get by, or they think it's worth the risk.
But Dave, okay, this happened 12 years ago. Right. It was one incident. It's the only incident he ever had. Right. And he is no longer there. He's been at, TCC or...
Yeah, he's head over the Tulsa Tech.
Tulsa Tech. So he's moved on to an administrative role. He doesn't have that...
That's a good point.
Confrontation with these students. And I would probably say Tulsa Tech students are probably at a higher level than the ones you would have in your average high school here in town, especially in certain areas. And so it's a whole different, I don't know. I'm just so sick and so tired of the politics right now, especially within the Republican Party. I'm just shame on them. Let's just move on to the race.
Oh, by the way, there was a 12-year-old profoundly disabled child.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So, but if we take the governor's race, this is, I argue with these people on Facebook all the time, and the stuff they bring up about, Mike Mazie, nitpicky.
Of course, yeah.
And the thing is, if you look at Drummond's ads, everything about Drummond now, they're all negative, anti. I asked somebody, there's one particular person, he's a financial advisor, and he's a client of mine. He's a client. We're good friends. But he literally cannot stand Mike Mazie. And I asked him to bring up, show me, he said, oh, he's unfit, he's this, he that. I said, give me one thing that Mazie has done to disqualify him. But at the same time, I want you to tell me what substantive policy or plan that the opponent, Drummond, has put forth. All. If you look at Drummond's ads, they're all attacking Mazie.
Yeah,
and they're all, and then he's platitudes. I'm going to make Oklahoma better. Oklahoma deserves to be the da. That's the only thing. There's nothing positive that he, an actual substantive issue that he's for, but he's against. He's against the aluminum plant. He's against the data centers. Yeah. He's against this. Well, wait a minute. Oklahoma, let's say, okay, we don't do it. But you got Kansas, Texas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico that say, hey, come on.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, these people have these jobs and their economy is booming.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sitting here, but I kept them out of our state, and our state is falling because we don't have jobs and we're not going anywhere.
Well,
and so it just drives me nuts, the small thinking of people. But like I said, it's this negativity. I do not like all of the negative.
Well, he did say he wants us to be a better state, not like number 48 in education.
Well, did he tell us how he's going to do it?
Well, you see, Joy Hoffmeister was going to do that too. Oh, yeah, they were both ran by the same campaign outfit. Oh, yeah, they both end up being liberals. Oh, yeah, they both end up doing nothing to actually get us any better.
And one of them finally became honest and became a Democrat and ran for governor as a Democrat, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, Drummond could be honest too. You know, he might change. Right. He might admit that he's not as conservative as that. So yeah, you give Joy credit that she finally exposed who she is,
who she always was.
Yeah,
I'll never forget. She came into the studio when I was on with Pat.
Yeah,
and we were in there, and I just sat there, and I knew in just deep, I knew she was she was wrong.
Yeah,
and she should never have been elected.
Yeah,
and it was Republicans that attacked her and went after her and doomed. Didn't go after her. I'm talking about her opponent. What was her name? That was
Janet Barisi.
Janet Barisi.
The whole thing was about Janet Barisi's no good. We got to get rid of her.
Right. Because and here's the thing that people don't know, and I'll reveal what years later. I did everything I could to get Janet Barisi to get away from Jeb Bush's education plan. Mm-hmm. It was no good.
Yeah.
And that's what they used against her. And I said, Janet, and Janet didn't even really support it, but Mary Fallon was her good friend, and she did not want to stab Mary Fallon in the back.
That's it.
She was covering for Mary Fallon. And I told her, I said, Janet, you've got to get off this because it will doom you.
Yeah.
And she didn't listen. She said, well, I'm sorry, I have to be faithful. And it's just crazy how that, well, I'm not going to go there. I could chase another rabbit. But so anyway, what I want to get at, though, is that I hate these negative ads. And let's just stick on policy. Now, on Mr. Franklin's part, from the research I've done, things we've talked about and others and all, the man is basically a progressive, a liberal. He's not a true conservative, conservative Republican. Mm-hmm. Okay, Taylor is. Okay, we know he is. And he has experience in education, in high school and so forth. So it's one of these deals again where I think Taylor's going to win it. I mean, I really don't see.
Well, I've walked the halls where James teaches, seen the school. He works in a very economically challenged area of Oklahoma City. Those kids love him. I mean, he just asked some kids, hey, I'm going to do some pictures Saturday. And you guys went, a whole bunch of kids showed up. And most of them are Hispanic kids. And his wife, told me, if they really checked to see, which of these families are in the United States illegal, he says half the student body would probably be gone.
Yeah. I feel, still the right guy for the job would have been John Cox.
Yeah.
I think you agree with me.
I thought
Yeah. But since he's not there and we only have two choices, then Taylor is the guy.
Yeah. No, John John was the most sensible of all of them that you didn't have to worry about. He had some weird agenda.
He had, and he checked all the boxes.
He did.
He was Dr. John Cox. So if you want to go by academia, his qualifications there, and then at the same time, the actual practical things he wanted to do. And sometimes, again, it goes back to this thing. Republicans today, conservative Republicans in particular, they're like Pavlov's dog on certain issues. And you ring the bell with a stimuli, you can get them to do anything you want to do. And it just drives me nuts. They don't dig deep to really research and find out beneath the surface, okay? And as I said, John Cox was a former Democrat, okay? Yep. But there are Democrats in Oklahoma that are more conservative than the Republicans, okay? Which is crazy, but it's just they died in the war. They just don't want to leave. They're starting to, all across the country, there are Democrats fleeing to the Republican Party because the Democrats leave them no choice. But again, and at the same time, we're starting to drive some of the Republicans out to the other side as well. Mm-hmm. But I believe we really missed the boat on not electing, or as he say, not checking the box for Cox. But having said that, between the two candidates that we have, James Taylor is the way to go.
Yep.
I think I'll end with that.
So true. So true. Yeah. I'm going to a forum later this evening. One of our guests that was in a few weeks ago, Aaron Basagno, is got a forum today and against Anthony Archie. And then I'm going to host an event a week from Sunday in my neighborhood for a homeowners association meeting. So that's another thing that those of you in South Central Tulsa, you'll be, and West Tulsa, it'll be your district. So just want to give a heads up.
Doesn't it bleed a little bit over into the Jinx too? On the other side
Tulsa
of 75.
City Council, so it has to be Tulsa. It's Tulsa city limits because it's Tulsa City Council.
Right. But Jinx is there's a part in Creek, but there's a part in Tulsa County still.
Yeah, as long as it's the city of Tulsa.
Right, the city of Tulsa, yeah.
Right, so it's basically West Tulsa and then over by ORU and the projects at 61st and Peoria that no other city councilor wants in their district. It's kind of gotten shoved around.
You know what I'm thinking about? Yeah, I think because those people over in your area, don't they go to Jinx? The kids
south of 71st.
South of 71st, they still go to Jinx. Okay, yeah. That's
fact is, he lives just the other side of 71st from me. I'm on the north side. He's a Jinx. Well, he was a football player for Jinx, a lineman, pretty good one. And
Archie?
No, I'm talking about Aaron.
Oh, Bassano. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, Archie came here later, and he's an ORU grad, and then spent a little time as a youth leader at Kirk of the Hills and stuff. And then he got involved with the Black Lives Matter, had some pretty angry statements that were caught on tape that doesn't look really good when you're asking for Republicans to trust you.
Yeah, he's an enigma to me. It's just weird. I mean, he is a weird cat. I don't know. What was weird to me. Well, I'll tell you what I think it now. Anthony, you're welcome to come in here and we can discuss this. If you,
I tried to get him in 2 years ago.
Well, here's the deal. He's speaking at this Black Lives Matter rally, and he's, talking all this stuff and this and that. And he, like myself, has a Caucasian wife. And so to me, it's the ultimate of hypocrisy to be speaking all this blackness and da-da-da, but then you've got this white wife. And the reason I say this because I was just thinking about it the other day. Before I became a Christian, when I was in college, I came home one time and my parents used to like to go to these football games of this particular high school in their area.
Yeah.
And so there's my mom and dad, and I'm sitting over here with my friends. And it was like, another time I was at Tech. I was a sophomore, something at Tech, probably freshman or sophomore. My parents finally came back from Germany. Yeah, I guess I would have been a sophomore. They came back from Europe. He got restationed. In fact, he had to go to Vietnam. So anyway, and I'm on the elevator with my parents, and all of my black friends came on, and I acted like I didn't know my mother. It was bad. It's not my prettiest moment. Okay.
Yeah.
That in that high school game where I didn't want to be associated with my white parents. That happens often. There's a lot of black or mixed biracial kids out there that have bought into this black thing, that it's more important to be accepted by black associates and friends than it is to be true to your family. And that's so anyway, so to me, it's just hypocritical for me to be out there talking about Black Lives Matter and being all this radical black person but I'm married to a white wife.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to talk about issues and so forth, we can talk about issues, but it was just when you get, and I say this because I've lived it. I've been that person. Okay. And I'm not proud of it. I hate that person that I was. And it took being saved and basically smacked upside the head by the Lord to wake me up from that.
You remember it was about 2 weeks before Trump did a rally here in town. And that was when the full steam of the whole Black Lives Matter is going on. And my daughter, who's white, of course, and her black husband were going to go to this rally downtown at the Greenwood Center there. And in fact, the police department offered to volunteer to handle parking for it. And it was just, hey, let's do an orderly expression of free speech and all this. And I'm watching the video, I'm thinking, maybe I'll go to that with my daughter and son-in-law. And the lady who's organizing it, she's doing this Facebook Live thing, promoting it. And she says, and here's my husband, it says his name, says, yes, he's white, but he's one of the good ones. And I'm like, okay, I am no longer going to that.
Yeah. Because
you felt the need to explain that he's somehow an exception to what white people are.
Right. A perfect case of that is this lady in Wisconsin, your former neighbor in Wisconsin. She's Asian.
Yeah.
And she's married.
Yeah, she's from Madison, which is a liberal college town, University of Wisconsin. But running for governor or lieutenant governor? Governor.
Governor, yeah. And she's got a white husband, but she's just railing against white people.
Yeah.
You hypocrite. It's just like our former Democratic nominee for president and former vice president, Kamala. And
who's not African.
No. But, she wants to act. It's amazing. I've never seen a minority that has the control that the black minority has in America in any case. Yes.
I mean, the most important thing to them is keep selling white guilt. Mm-hmm. It's just, you got to keep pounding them.
There's
with
gold in them darn hills. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's crazy. But anyway, that's that. But continuing in the political vein, you know who Abdul El Sayed is?
Yeah, Michigan. Evidently, they picked him for.
The Democrats did.
Is it for governor or I think it's U.S. Senate?
Yeah, Senate. Right. He's going for Senate.
Right. Now, Mike Rogers, who's been in the House, is running for that. He lost out the last time.
Right.
So
El Sayed, they have plenty. I mean, they've got all kinds of rope they can put out there to hang this guy by himself. But where he is just railing against the people and saying some crazy things, Yeah, it says he has argued healthcare shouldn't depend on, this is one of the big things, the hypocrisy of these, okay? He's argued that healthcare shouldn't depend on who signs your paycheck and demanded that taxpayers pay for guaranteed health care from cradle to grave through Medicare for all, despite the fact that his wife, Sarah Jukaku, states on her medical practice's website that she is out of network with all insurance companies, so generally requiring patients to pay the practice directly at a higher rate, though some may be eligible for out-of-network reimbursement. In other words, the way it works is, and somebody's trying to help her out with that last line. So, for example, so if you're out of network, or a lot of these Medicare dental plans, okay, they only cover a certain amount, and a doctor won't take it. So they give you the bill, you send it in. In other words, the doctor's not going to accept it, but they'll send you a bill, you send it to your provider, and then they pay you a portion of that.
That's actually how health insurance used to be.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so this guy is for Medicare for all, but his wife won't accept Medicare.
Well,
as a she's a doctor, obviously.
No, it's got to be pretty bad when there isn't an insurance company who thinks you're on the up and up as a physician. Mm-hmm. That's what that's telling me. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm
no. I don't believe that's it. What it is it's about the Benjamins. It's about the dollars, because she will charge 100%, whereas the insurance company gets this charge off. So yeah. If you've ever looked at your medical bill before you send it to the doctor, to the insurance company, yeah. There's the insurance charge, and then it says allowable charges.
I know.
And then, and so what she's saying, no, you're going to pay me the actual. So if it's a $6,000, I don't know if I told you all about this before. My son had an auto accident. It was at 61st and Harvard. Mm-hmm. I could see St. Francis from mm-hmm. the one corner, mm-hmm. you can see it up there. And so a mile away. Yep. And so they sent an ambulance and convinced him to get into the ambulance to be checked out. And also he sits in the ER room. They had him behind these curtains or something, mm-hmm. And he sat there from 1 a.m. till 9 the next morning.
God.
And we were there.
At St. Francis.
St. Francis.
Yeah. I was just in that last week.
Saw somebody once mm-hmm. in that whole 8 hours of time, okay? Mm-hmm. His bill was $6,500. Mm-hmm. $6,500 to lay on a deal where somebody came in and checked on him one time. I sent it to my insurance company. They wrote it down to $4,500. Mm-hmm. So they sent, he ended up filing a case. It was a DUI per a drunk driver hit him, broadside at him. Fortunately, he wasn't injured. So anyway, I paid the $4,500. I'm sorry, my insurance company paid $45,000. I paid my deductible, which I can't remember. But anyway, and so all of a sudden, he had a lawyer. He was working for a lawyer for the summer, and then this lawyer filed suit mm-hmm. and got crazy $50,000 out of the deal. But anyway, so the insurance company, when they found out that the hospital, when they found out the insurance was involved, they said, the lady calls me and says, Mr. Huff, we understand that you had insurance. And we understand that you were able to get money beyond this. I don't know how they figured it out. So anyway, we're going to send this money back to the insurance company, and we want you to pay the $6,500. So they were going to send Blue Cross their check back for $45,000, which they agreed. They agreed to take the $4,500. Yeah. For instead, out of the $6,500. But when they found out there was other money involved, they wanted that other $2,000. So knowing what I know, I used to be a claims adjuster, mm-hmm. how this works, I wrote them a letter. Mm-hmm. Oh, they sent it off to this whatever that law firm that St. Francis, St. John's uses.
Works and Lens?
Yeah, Works and Lens. They sent me a letter saying, we understand you owe the hospital. I said, dear, whatever the lawyer's name was, I would love you to take me to court and explain to a jury why you sent $4,500 back to the insurance company, which you had accepted, so you could get $6,500 out from me.
Yeah.
Never heard another word. Never heard another. I guarantee you they called that lady and said, don't you ever send us stuff like this again.
I got to talk to you a little after the show, but I was dealing with Works and Lens today because for the past 20 years, I've been paying them $75 a month.
Really?
My wife, when my wife developed certain issues during a time we were switching health insurance, all of a sudden she became uninsurable, right? I'm talking 30 years ago. And so she had a couple of things that involved hospitalizations. And, I understood from another insurance man I knew says, as long as you make a payment regularly, even if it's $5 or $10, they have to accept it. And, so I was paying them a certain amount every month, having an auto draft to them, everything. But I would ask them, this is after like 15 years. I said, hey, I need a statement on where we're at on this thing. Crickets. And so last month I'm looking at things. I said, you know what? I'm just going to end that. I'm sure I'm going to hear from him. So I get a call from him on Wednesday. Mr. Van Rissegem, you've been paying fabulously every month, but we didn't get this last one. I said, yes. I said, that was deliberate. And once I get a statement from you on where things are at, I will resume. Oh, we'll send you that. I said, okay, well, just tell me where we're at. Because I said, I'm figuring I probably have this paid off or close to it. Well, it ends up I'm very close to it. And I mean, it was appendectomy and then some other things, a couple of hospitalizations that are involved here. And for uninsured, and by the way, I had the same appendectomy, same physician, same hospital. Somehow her bill was 50% higher than mine, which matches exactly what you're saying.
Probably 100% more today.
Yeah. And so, and this was Hillcrest is who I was dealing with. They, again, use Works and Lens, but then so does, the St. Francis healthcare system. Anyway, so I'm going to get that statement. And I said, no, there was a point when you guys called me up and said, hey, we'll make a deal if you can just cut a check now. And it was pennies on the dollar. Well, it was probably about 20 cents on the dollar. And I was in no way I could, I owe you $15,000. I don't have that, And, okay, well, we thought we'd offer. So I asked this lady this. I said, you called me. I didn't, reach out to you. And they said, well, you can make an offer and settlement. And I said, okay. I said, well, could you make me an offer? And they said, well, we only do that when tax season's coming around. We want to clear things up. So anyway, I'm going to talk to you after the show about the real numbers on that.
But anyway, that's weird how they work on these things.
You know what I want to say? Debbie and I for years went to Family Medical Care that got bought out by Hillcrest. One of the things they did was, if you don't have insurance covering this, which my wife didn't, until the Obamacare stuff came, my wife couldn't get insurance. So anyway, they said, if you're paying cash up front before you see the doctor, it's this price. It was like 40% off. It was like normally $130 doctor visit, $77, something like that. So some doctors will do that if you'll pay it today,
Or cash or check, no credit cards.
Yeah.
Like when we were on KFAQ, I remember Pat had on these, there's this group, I think the people in the Cityplex were affiliated with them. They have their own in-house.
Is it MediShare type thing?
No. There's no insurance. They won't take insurance. You have to. It's a cash only deal.
Mm-hmm.
But the rates, for example, something that might be $20,000-$30,000 at the Saints,
right,
was $5,000 to $10,000.
Yeah,
but like you said, they wanted, I say cash, but they wanted cash or check. They want you to pay them whatever that full amount was. No time, no overtime. No, you just, this is the cost. This is what you pay.
Jim Meehan operated like that as a physician. He was independent. He would not bill insurance, and people who it was a cash price. And then some of them actually sell a subscription that gives you access to the doctor. They're still going to bill you something, but it gave them a steady flow of base income for operation.
Yeah, you have to, because especially in today's society, back in the Quaker days when they were prominent, Quakers, Amish, that were really honest people that you had, and you tell them, well, pay me when you can. They paid you when they got the money. In today's world, you can't do that anymore. You say, pay me when you can. Well, I can't. For the next 100 years, I can't. Yeah. And I'm not going to be able to. It's just we have become so too lax that it's really hurt our country and everything about it. And the other thing that makes it bad, one of the reasons that the price has gone up as much as it has, like you said, what you paid, 10, 20 years ago, and today is the migrants, and I'll call them illegal aliens. If you go to any other emergency rooms, you're going to see these workers and their families and all their bambinos or chicas. So anyway, so the hospitals by law have to take everybody in. One night I went, my son was hurt, and we may have talked about this. Did we talk about this? When he went in, had a soccer thing, got kicked in the head, and was having headaches late, and tried to get over it, but I ended up having to take him about 1, 2 in the morning. And so we go in there, and I look, and this young couple were my clients. They were insurance clients, and they were there. Oh, hey, how you doing? They brought their kid in there. I don't know what. I think the kid just had a cold. And I talked to him the next week. I said, "Oh, is your son okay? Are they okay?" And he said, "Oh yeah. We don't have insurance, so we went to the ER to get a prescription and get whatever we needed, and because we didn't pay, we don't have to pay." And I was thinking, oh, well, that's how it works. So a lot of the reason for probably 50% of the reason that everybody's cost is so high is because they are giving away all this free med. Oh, in fact, did I tell this story before? I was in there for one of my bouts with blood clots. Yeah. Okay. I'm in there. And so I spent 2 days in the hospital. I had to go for sonograms to find the blood clots and give me the injections, whatever. So the last day, and I went like straight from work, or somewhere. No, it couldn't have been from here because I just had a T-shirt and jeans on and tennis shoes. And that's all the clothes I had. So Mr. Huff, we're going to check you out, but our social worker has to come in and see you before you can go. I said, okay. So this Indian guy from India, comes in, asks me a few questions. He didn't ask me how much I make, where I work, what kind of job. He didn't ask me anything. Just, I don't even remember what the questions were, but it was nothing that had to do with finances. And he says, okay, checked it off. You can go. Never saw a bill. I never saw a bill. And then these clients of mine, guys from Bangladesh, owned 2 convenience stores. Driving a Jaguar. The guy's got money coming out the wazoo, okay? And he had open heart surgery. But because he's from Bangladesh, they just assumed he didn't have insurance. Wow. They assumed that, he had a brain surgery. And at one time, I think he had heart surgery too. But anyway, and he never got a bill. Never got a bill. Because they just assume and they can write it off when, your name is Habib, or you look like you're from North Tulsa or something, and they just write it off.
Well, then here's the big question.
It's crazy, and why
if they have to accept them, then how does the government keep them solvent?
They don't. That's what I'm saying. That's why it costs twice as much today than it did 10 years ago, which was twice as much as it was 10 years ago before that, because they're paying for all the people that they see for free with the charges that they're, and then, the endowment, St. Francis has all this philanthropic money that they get, and the United Way and everybody else.
Some 35 years ago, one of my friends from church was one of the administrators at City of Faith. He was an ORU grad stuff. And I'm talking to him about the medical bill when our firstborn was born. And this would have been in 88. And I said, insurance paid 80% and we got to pay that 20%. And I said, what percent of the billing at most hospitals actually gets paid? And they said, maybe 80% if they're doing well. I said, so that 20% they're wanting to collect from me is to help pay other people's bill. The insurance paid my portion.
Well, and
I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. And on top of that, out of the 80% that they bill, what percentage actually do they collect? That's the other. The other aspect of it. You can bill whoever you want. There's no guarantee they're going to pay. And the insurance company is going to only pay 80% of what they bill.
Well, see, because I think that's kind of how it is. They have a billing price, and insurance knows that it's 20% higher than what it really costs to run their operation.
Yeah, sometimes I've seen them. The write-offs, the charge-offs, as much as 60%, where they're only collecting 40% from the insurance company. Insurance companies have these charts on what what's allowable charges. Yeah, according to them.
See, the guy who was director of AMSA for years, Terry Williamson, back in the 80s. I was over at his house. I hung his Christmas lights, right? Said you get to talk to him. And I said, man, he commented, he says, I saw you in the paper. They were writing up about this new industry of people putting up Christmas lights. And he says, yeah, I read about you. And he says, how do you get good press in this town anyway, Dave? I said, yeah, they've been beating up on you because he's running AMSA. And the city of Tulsa, he just says, look, I can't operate. The way things are is those unpaid bills, I've got to just add it to the premiums. And Susan Savage is just getting vicious, and they met, and he says, okay, how would you do it? And she didn't have a better answer. And all of a sudden, he started getting good press, and the city of Tulsa reworked everything. That kind of made AMSA part of city government. Mm-hmm. And we never heard, the bad, because he was operating as a licensed entity, but a separate business.
Yeah. See, now they're able to get that on your utility bill. You had, was it $5, 5 or 10? That
was pretty much it.
Yeah. And, and then, but that's more than they were getting before. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a, I don't know, everything is kind of a dirty business these days. Yeah. Anyway.
I do have one other thing on that. Advice. My son's hanging out with some of his buddies, actually David Fowler's kids. David used to work with him. And they're doing longboarding down a hill, and he wipes out, hits his head on the pavement and stuff, and goes back. They call me and say he might have a concussion, and find out they give him something. And I said, what was it? Tylenol? Well, it might have been aspirin. No, you don't want something that makes your brain bleed.
Yeah, brain bleed.
So I'm driving him to Hillcrest. This is like a Saturday afternoon. And he says, yeah, I think it was aspirin. We pulled the car over on Highway 75. I said, make yourself vomit as quick as you can. You don't want a blood thinner, in your system now. He couldn't get anything out,
We already had a blood thinner with the aspirin.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I see.
And so we go to Hillcrest. We don't check in. We just sit there. And then one of his buddies comes out, finds out one of his buds is a nurse tech or something like that, some low-level nursing. I think he's licensed. And he just starts talking to him while he's on his break and stuff. And I said, we didn't check in. I just figure I'm going to observe him here. And if there's any problem, we're already at the emergency room. And he says, yeah, he's in, and he starts checking on things he knows. He says, no, I think you're fine. So we got up and left.
I'm surprised you didn't just give him a joint.
Yeah, come on, man. No, this was back in 2009.
Oh, okay.
And he was with the football program. And
today you would give him a joint.
No, I don't touch the stuff. So I've been offered plenty.
Oh, you would tell him where he could get it.
No, that wouldn't do anything for his situation. But I'm concerned because my dad, I already told you about, him with bleeding and aneurysm blowing up. But, one time Jonathan was a little baby. You know how we are at newborns and, first time mom and dad, you're nervous about everything, right? And it's like 2 a.m. and the kid's got a fever. You give him Tylenol. It doesn't seem to be working. And these little electronic, push button thermometers that beep, beep, and stuff. So we take him there. We sat there for like 2.5 hours. Finally, his temp's going down. We pick him up. We're about to go home. And the lady says, I think we're ready to see you now. No, thank you. We left. No bill.
Yeah. Well, 2.5 hours doesn't really seem like a lot compared to today. Today, I don't want to go into it. I want to finish up with it.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous how long it takes you in the ER nowadays.
Yep.
Anyway, continuing on El Said, just to discuss, they were predicting he was going to have this landslide victory over his Democrat opponent. But it turns out he won 1%, something like that.
Not even 1%.
Yeah, not even. So yeah, he's got some issues. He's got some work to do, particularly some of the comments that he's made. It brings me to a broader point because we got Muslims everywhere. Mm-hmm. All across the northeast. From the central. North and then from say Wisconsin,
the Great Lakes states,
all the way across to New York, mm-hmm. down the part of the Atlantic. But here's the deal: all of these Muslims are all of a sudden, for some reason, they're socialists, mm-hmm. right? You got all these socialists. You got some in Congress, a lot of them in Congress. Okay, Talib, mm-hmm. And then you got.
Ilhan
Omar. And so you got these Muslims in all these positions and all, and they claim, to be socialist. Mm-hmm. But you see, what people don't understand, the socialists and the liberals and progressives that support them and like them don't understand that if they're really Muslims, mm-hmm. it's a part of the Muslim infiltration into America. Mm-hmm. As soon as they take control and have enough control, they will start taking action against any non-Muslim. Mm-hmm. And that's what people don't understand. Mm-hmm. They think, they're just socialists. And, we have what we used to call Sunday Christians, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. Sunday go to meeting Christians. Mm-hmm. Okay. So they would show up once a week. Mm-hmm. During the rest of the week, they don't live it.
That was a lot the way our Catholic upbringings wasn't it?
Yeah.
We went to Mass.
You got a lot of Protestants too.
If you had a real bad week, you might go to confession on Saturday and then Mass on Sunday.
So I think a lot of the people, the secular Christians, let's put it, mm-hmm. name them that, secular Christians, secular Jews, think, oh, that's just something they do because that's how we do it. All of these are just secular Muslims. They don't really believe in all that other stuff. They just were raised out in that religion, but they don't really follow it and believe it.
Yeah.
We've got to change that thinking. These people believe it. They believe it. If they didn't believe it, they would not have the support of all the other Muslims that are the devout Muslims.
Well, here's the thing. Their religion is tied to their racism. It's inbred. It's true of the Jews and of the Muslims. It's true of Arabs, Persians, Somalis, whatever. It's true of Farrakhan and his bunch. His was about being a black Muslim. And their theology is tied to their racism. And people used to say that about the Southern Baptists and the Klan. You know, and it's a problem. We got to get rid of all of that tribalism, racism, the whole deal.
Yeah. As this old black preacher used to say, we got to get to where all the isms become wasms.
Oh, there you go.
But anyway, we have to wake up. You out there have to wake up and get your friends and neighbors and other people to wake up. This is not some benign belief, some benign faith. They mean it when they say that Satan in America has to be overthrown. They call us Satan. America is the great Satan, right? And Europe's already pretty much done for. They have just accepted all of this. And Christianity has its back against the wall, back against the ropes.
Yeah.
We're in a corner, and we need to fight. You need to fight against this stuff. And however, expose it. I mean, that's the best thing. Expose this. People aren't asking the right question. Oh, but see, here's the other problem in the Muslim faith. This is what's so funny, okay, about the Muslim faith, which is supposed to be this devout faith. One of the tenets of Islam is that you can lie to the infidel because it serves a greater purpose of furthering Islam. So you can lie, and you're actually supposed to lie to them so they don't know what you're really doing.
And who's the infidel? Here's a point I'm getting at. The Taliban, they were interviewed by some news outfit. It might have been 60 Minutes. I'm going back like 20 years. And they're asking this guy, about his faith and stuff. And he said, well, what about, less committed Muslims? Oh, they have to go too. They have to be put to death because they are not pure enough in Islam. So it isn't just who they considered an infidel. It isn't straight up, who belongs to my creed and who doesn't. Because they'll start thinning them out. That's the problem with extremism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right. That is definitely the problem. Anyway, in response to the whole El Said situation, a Republican Senate nominee, Mike Rogers, opened the door to Michigan Democrats on Friday after far-left progressive Said, after his victory. And Mike Rogers assured these Democrats in Michigan there's still hope, adding they have a home in his campaign.
Yeah.
So he is, I mean, that's very smart. That's really a smart way to go, to say, if you don't like what's happening to your party with these.
Right. Michigan might be the perfect testing ground for this, because you and I have talked about how Trump has taken the Republican Party to a more blue collar direction and less anti-union. I mean, when you have Sean O'Brien, head of the Teamsters, speaking at your national convention, that's a big deal. So I think, and you might get James Carville to come over too, because remember, he's already saying, hey, there's not room for Mondami and me. One of us is going to go, and, Phil Maher.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just Bill Maher.
Bill Maher's almost a Republican these days. He's gone very far.
And I think if you continue on this populist run, I think in an industrial state that's lost its glitter like Michigan has, I think you're going to get a lot of blue collar people or people who'd like to be their factory be opened up again.
Yeah.
You know,
it's funny, but let me mute you while you have to do all of that.
I didn't realize how loud I was.
Yeah. You're not hearing it through the headphones?
I'm hearing it inside.
Yeah. Is it allergies or you get a summer cold?
I got a summer cold and I pretty much licked it. It's the weirdest thing, Eddie. No, really.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, at this time yesterday, I was in bad shape.
Oh, you know what? We're not listening to you.
Okay. At this time yesterday, I didn't know my ears were stuffed up. I couldn't hear. But I have, since COVID, I've been sick twice. And, but both times, it was like 2 weeks for a common cold. This is my first time, again, having a common cold that only lasts 3 days. You know, I'm feeling a lot better. But, you know, again, things got
Hopefully the
up.
contagious part is over with.
Oh, it is, Eddie. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't.
Well, I'm suing you if it's not, because you're lying to me. You sat here and I have witnesses. And
you know where I got it? I'm almost certain because I had a home health care come in Tuesday. Yeah. And I said, yeah, I was my friend Chance Tinker, who's been in here and that. He was in the emergency room at St. Francis, same one your son was in. I'll bet you I picked up some kind of virus in there because I was visiting him, checking on him.
One other thing here, quickly before we get on to a few other things. Texas Children's Hospital has agreed to a $10 million settlement after performing illegal youth gender transitions. But here's the real kicker, what they're doing. They have to open a new detransitioning clinic. Whistleblower Vanessa Sivage, she gave testimony which exposed illegal youth gender transition procedures, leading to major state enforcement action. So what happened, this hospital, and this is what's so crazy, it's Texas Children's Hospital. I mean, they should just shut them down, I think. I mean, you know, this is nothing. But they were performing basically illegal, in other words, without parents' permission and whatever the hoops you have to jump through to transition kids from male to female.
Yeah, but that name doesn't designate that they are like some state government agency. Anybody can call themselves, you know, the Oklahoma Children's Hospital or whatever.
Oh no, I know. I know, and they're not. But this is a court action,
right?
This was civil court action. This
civil. I wonder why it isn't criminal. If they broke the law,
well, that's true. Maybe they did. Maybe it's both. Maybe because normally, if it was a criminal deal, they wouldn't have to pay $10 million. It was a settlement, $10 million settlement.
Yeah.
And for performing these illegal.
It could have been private parties, let's say parents.
Yeah. I'm sure it probably was parents that brought this. But anyway, it just shows what's going on with these people have no quibbles about doing stuff to try to get a hold of youth and change the whole attitude and mores of America. So,
yeah, it's really, you just have to wonder what's happened in our country because this is an onslaught. Eddie, I think we're in the middle of a civil war. It's just not a guns firing civil war.
Oh yeah,
but it's a cultural war.
Cultural war, true.
Yeah, and
Europe has already lost theirs. We're the last man standing.
I just think they slept through it.
Or let's put it this way: Central and Western Europe, because if you go to farther east, they're not doing it.
Yeah, they ain't buying it.
No, they're not.
I mean, even
bringing in all
Hungary ain't buying it.
No, Hungary, anything from.
But I have to tell you, Romania, I'm a little bit concerned about because they had an election, then they decided it wasn't fair because the wrong guy won.
Yeah, that was a weird deal.
And Ukraine hasn't held an election, and we somehow think they're the innocent man in the white hat. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I talked to, right when that war first started, I'm working on a house with an immigrant from Russia. He's a plumber. And I asked him his name. I think his name was Vladimir. I remember it's a very Russian classic name.
Vladimir.
And I said, who's the good guy in this war?
So there isn't one.
He said, yeah, there isn't.
No, you can tell. You can tell. I don't know. Everybody's just bought into this thing. These poor Ukrainians. Ukrainians had one of the worst underground syndicates, criminal syndicates on earth.
Yeah,
we used to depict it in movies. You don't want to, it wasn't Russians. It was the Ukrainians you didn't want to mess with, And so, yeah. And if you look at how, what's his name? All of a sudden, his name skipped my mind. The president. Who's the president of Ukraine? Who's the head guy? Now it's spread. It's contagious. Oh man, I just had Zelensky. Yeah.
Yes.
So, if you look at where he came from, his background and everything, how did he ever become president? I think someone was behind this.
Yeah, but Eddie, you talk about some of your college radicalism days. It's what Pat Buchanan said.
This wasn't college radicalism.
No, let me finish this. Pat Buchanan once said about Jesse Jackson, the only thing that man's ever run is his mouth. And if you can talk a big talk, that's how you get the Mondamis of the world.
Right, but you have to have some backing. You've got to have somebody.
You're right.
It's not just
that's the dirty underbelly we don't know about.
Exactly. That's exactly how it is. So anyway, that's it. The Iranian war. What is going on there? It seems like we don't really know what's going on.
Nobody knows.
We're in the dark, and it just goes on and on and on. And I think they're basically, it's working to their advantage.
Somebody said that one of Trump's missteps is his assumption that if the Ayatollah is taken out with all of his top leaders, it's over before it starts. And somebody says they think that was pretty much the line that Netanyahu sold Trump on. They thought they had it won that very first day. And especially coming off of what happened in Venezuela. So.
No, those people, it's a whole different culture, different background. They don't think that.
So last Saturday, you and I were talking about the issue of Iran, and you mentioned to me that what's his name? Not Khomeini, but the Ayatollah, to his line, that they weren't even Persian.
Right.
So I'm driving home, pulling my driveway, and I see Alex, my friend who grew up in Iran, there. And I said, man, I always run into you as soon as I get done talking about you on the air. I said, Eddie's mentioned this. I said, is it true? He says, yeah. He says his family comes from India. They're Muslims from India. And I said, wow, why would the Persian people have somebody from India? As tough as, I said, look, you are one proud Persian man. And I said, now my problem with you is you think that as a good Persian, you got to run down the Pakistanis and the Indians and all that. And then he gets talking about, it's like he's proud of how racist he is. We get along fine. I don't dare tell him what ethnicity I am. But anyway, that's the funny thing is they all think that, it's like who they are is tied to their faith and their race. It's a sad deal. But I asked,
it's like the black people in America who idolize this Arab culture. Well, Arabs are still holding slaves, black slaves today. They still have black slaves from Africa.
Yeah.
And it's bad. And they but they don't see it. They don't understand. In fact, until recently, we had the word Negro or colored people or whatever. The word for a black person in Arabic is abed.
Okay.
Which means slave.
I did not know that.
So when they talked about a black person, so yeah, that's so and so. He's a slave. That's the slaves.
One of my pharmacists' name is Abid.
Is it?
He's from Nigeria.
Yeah, it's ABD is what? Yeah, and to them, slave can mean like a servant of the Lord. A slave of the Lord. And so it's not, when it's a name, it's like
it could be figurative, not literal.
Right. But when your whole race is referred to as a slave, then that's a whole different animal.
That's not figurative.
No, that's not figurative. So that's the deal there. But yeah, that Persian thing, Persians are just a proud, mighty people. I mean, they truly were one of the great kingdoms. And to me, still today, they have some of the most beautiful women. Just there's something about their features and everything that is just stunningly beautiful. They're beautiful women and probably good-looking men too. But
not Alex. I'm sorry, Alex. I ain't giving you that. Your head's too big already.
I said some.
I know.
But anyway,
but they're hairy men too. I'll tell you that.
They're hairy. Yeah, they're manly men.
Yes.
No,
right.
but but that whole thing, I don't know what Trump is doing. He keeps saying we're getting somewhere. We're in negotiation. No, you cannot negotiate with these people. And what they really need is basically to send every SEAL team, every Green Beret team, every Rangers, SEALs, Air Forces, the Navies, whoever they have, send them all in there, clandestine, disarm the military a piece at a time, give weapons to the rebellion, to the people who want to get these people out of there, and you just encroach. Use the what they call the Kurds, everything you can, but you're not going to. And let this be a lesson too. One of the reasons that the Ayatollahs are able to control the whole country is because nobody but the military and police have weapons.
Yeah. Well, now the Kurds do, because we armed them to give to the radicals to bring a rebellion. And Kurds said, you know what? We like these. We're going to keep them. The Kurds are for the Kurds.
Yeah.
Remember the last battle? The dwarfs are for the dwarfs. Yeah. The Kurds are for the Kurds.
Kurds are for the
Kurds. And you know what? The Kurds solidified their autonomy now because they're armed. The Iranians are not going to come up there and mess with them now.
Yeah. See, America, I used to talk about this with Pat on the radio, but I've talked about it here before too. We've gone back to this British idea of a gentleman's fight.
Oh, I've got an idea. Finish your thought.
That's the problem. We think, and I've told this story before, when I got to Philadelphia, when somebody wanted to fight you, you fight, and it was, you expected to fight this person. Well, in Philadelphia, I didn't realize you have to declare that you want a fair one.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, and in my case, I had that happen. I was 11 years old.
Yeah.
I think about it, and I ended up fighting a 14-year-old who was like a foot taller than me because the guy who was my age that I was fighting, I was beating him.
That's right.
And all of a sudden, his friend, who's 3 years older, cuts, and now I'm fighting this, 6 foot, 14-year-old, and I'm like 5'2" or something.
Right.
And, he beat me to a pulp right quickly.
So
So
here's the thing.
we got to fight the way they fight. We cannot, no mercy.
Here's a wild card.
All right.
What if we train and arm the Kurds to invade and take over? It becomes Kurdistan.
Well, there is a part of it they say is theirs.
Right.
If they want it.
Yeah, it's way up there on the border with Azerbaijan.
Right.
No, but what if?
Yeah, then you're just opening yourself up for a whole new campaign.
Yeah, but are they any worse than the Ayatollahs?
No, but we're not truly liberating Iran to let those.
Hey, listen, the Kurds have a lot of scores they need to settle.
Well, part of Iran is Kurdish. And
Yeah.
you said that northern part of it.
Yeah, way up that northwest tip.
Right. So, but Trump, he needs to figure it out fairly soon.
Yeah.
I'd say by the end of this year, he better have it done because next year it's going to be too late.
You remember the Taliban were taken out of power, not by American forces, but Northern Alliance with CIA people and special ops people that were embedded with them and could call in the missile strikes, the JDAMs, and all of the special, Western advanced technology. In fact, that guy that, they decided to appoint as the new leader of Afghanistan, he was about to get wiped out the next day. And all of a sudden, they had to drop JDAMs all over the place to save his butt because he was about to get run over by the Taliban who were fleeing out of Kandahar. I thought it was a beautiful idea because you had minimal forces and you didn't have a Western image coming in. It was the Northern Alliance that wanted to settle some old scores.
But we still stopped short. And that's the problem. We keep constraining ourselves in a fight where you cannot, on a street fight, a cat fight, a dog fight, you cannot fight with rules. It's got to be, or beat them into submission.
Or you could just be that force that comes in, makes them pay a price and leave, and you're not responsible for the aftermath. Let them clean up their own mess.
Oh, yeah. No, that I agree with. I'm just saying the way we fight to get them out is we cannot be worried this gentleman's fight and the rules.
If we would have just taken Saddam out of power and then just left, taken the Taliban out of power and just left, let them clean up their mess. When we went to nation building, that was our biggest mistake.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I don't think Trump wants to do any nation building. He just wants to get rid of the Ayatollahs and their followers and give, again, I'm going to go back to it. The Second Amendment is probably the most important amendment we ever had. Yeah. Because it keeps the government from taking us for granted. Yeah. Because at any moment, these millions of guns out there can be turned on them. Yep. So anyway, that's basically it. In other political news, getting back to the gubernatorial race here in Oklahoma, it's kind of turned into a dogfight. I mean, the only thing you ever hear about really is the governor's race. Yep. And I think we talked about it a little bit earlier. But again, I reiterate, I have not heard anything positive come out of the Drummond camp. It's all negative.
And it's the old AH strategies, Trevor Worthen, and now, Stephanie Alexander running that campaign, much like Found Holland and his clients. They do negative negative campaigning probably more thoroughly and scientifically than anyone. And they don't always win either. Right. And so, but they're more adept to it. They don't really have qualms with it. So We'll see. I'm not hearing any kind of a ground swelling for Gentner Drummond.
No.
I mean, Steve Bias, I think, was right. He says he thinks that Gentner may be capped out. Yeah, about 1/3. He got a little more than a third, but that's about all he's going to get.
Right. But the chipping away at these innuendos and things that they put out there on Mike, I did see where Drummond had to apologize for one thing or take back something he accused Mike. I can't think. I had it in my mind earlier. I didn't write it down. But there was something in the debate that Drummond had accused Mike of, and they found out later that the fact checking showed that Mike was true and Drummond, whatever he said, was not true.
Yeah, and that's something, Trey Savage with Non-Doc. I know Trey. He's a good journalist. He's got a leftist bent, but he still does journalism.
Well, Non-Doc, of all of them, remember they came in and interviewed me. They had this black girl come, and she was, when I read the article, it was the most fair of any I'd seen.
Yeah.
They're in the Tulsa world, let's just put it that way.
They are doing some work in conjunction with the Frontier. Frontier is a mixed bag. They
seem to have come a little more towards the center too.
Yeah. And, but they do this fact checking. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that fact checking is just wrong. They're just, they will characterize certain things. I've seen fact checking that was more falsehood than what the politicians were saying. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and what things are about. So yeah, there's that.
So were you going to say something about Non-Doc? Did they?
No, it's just that's the thing you're going to see more of if this catches on is follow-up articles where they do the research and the fact check on it, and I think that's a great thing.
This was Channel 6 that did that one because they hosted the deal. So yeah, I think it's an interesting campaign.
I want to ask this because I actually missed that. Family issues have kept me from a lot of this coverage. What do you think of Cindy Munson in her involvement in it?
Well, from what I understand, and especially the way these guys are going at it, the Democrats actually have a chance to possibly win the gubernatorial race because there's so much damage being done by people that whoever wins, the others people will not vote for them.
Yeah. So I've watched the Democrat caucus. I've hung out with them a lot at the Capitol on the House side. Mm-hmm. And Cindy probably has the least negatives when it comes to just her persona. Emily Virgin was just nasty. Scott Inman was just very assertive, very aggressive. Joe Dorman used to be their guy. He ran for governor against Mary Fallon. And Joe actually was, pro Second Amendment, a number of things. He was a likable guy. Cindy, remember, she ran a special election for David Dank. It was a long time. Always had been a Republican seat. My friend Porter Davis, had the seat. Then Mary Fallon. Then Mike Hunter. They all got their political start in that seat. And then Cindy wins it and hangs on to it. And I talked to her about it, and she says, you just got to be there for your constituents and be honest with them. And don't get caught up in these, far out radical issues. She doesn't.
There you go. See, that's the whole deal. Drummond's entire campaign right now is the smelter and data centers.
Yeah,
that's his campaign, to try to hang those around Mike's neck, even though he didn't initiate them, and they'll probably be done before one of them gets in office. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing I predict, that if Drummond does get elected, he will end up letting them go through. He won't stand against them, because at that point, I realize that economically it is a boon to our state. Well, that's not what you were saying a couple of months ago. I mean, that's what gets me. That's what really takes me.
When
up.
Jeff Hickman was speaker, Mary Fallon was very unpopular. Her last term was just horrible. And she would veto very popular legislation that passed overwhelmingly. And Hickman, instead of having a straight up or down vote to override the veto, he would tell the guy, no, let's make a couple little meaningless changes here. I'm going to run it through as a fresh bill. And anyway, that'll be Mary's notice. And Mary Fallon would get up in front of the microphone and says, well, now that you fixed the major issues that needed to be resolved, I can go ahead and sign this. She knew she was about to get humiliated by an override, because there's nothing more humiliating when you're the governor of the same party as both houses of legislatures, and they do that to you. And they did that to Stitt. Stitt got pretty contentious. So what I'm saying in that is Drummond, he will probably find a couple little changes and say, now that we fixed the real problems, I got them to change what they needed to change. And by golly, aren't I great? I'm signing this now.
Yep.
See, he's declared victory getting out of Vietnam.
And you get your smelter.
David Walters, when he was governor, he made that statement. He says, I decided to declare victory and get out of Vietnam.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he can say, and all of a sudden data centers are okay. We fixed, like you said, they fix some little. But
I'm telling you,
meaningless deal.
The chance to get this aluminum plant, there is no metal cleaner to smelt and refine.
Well, we're supposed to have do you think we can get your
I got to call Bob and see if we can get him in.
He'll do it. We got to do it. We've got to do it. Okay.
Maybe we'll get him in for next show. And we'll probably do a phone conversation with him. I'll give him a call tonight.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Just so you know, my brother has worked with precious metals. He wrote a book on refining gold under technologies that just amazing. And he said he found out about it from reading the Old Testament and found out that's what they were doing in the temple in getting gold. And he says, all you needed was oranges and camel urine. And then certain metals, the vessels of copper and iron or something like that, Yeah. So it's amazing. So that's a little bit.
And who does he work? He works for the EPA?
He got licensed by them. He was retrained at Boeing because he was working on missile defense. And then Cold War ended. They retrained him on this. Then he decided to get out of Seattle. He wanted to live back in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And so he just started his own business. And it's turned out really good. He'll do industrial waste stuff.
Right.
Like one day he was over, he says, I was up in Kansas City, Jergens lotion. They had a bad batch. You can't just dump that down the toilet. Not at that scale. He says, you got to break it down and recycle all the parts. And he says, they call guys like me in to do that.
That's interesting.
I mean, it's much like they do with crude oil. Look at all the great chemicals and fertilizer and plastics and everything we get out of crude oil.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so much bad information out there about it. And you got people that just are duped by this and they want to make this a major issue. Mm-hmm. And like I said, there's two aspects here. One, as Billy Joel's saying, he didn't start the fire. Mm-hmm. Mike Mazie didn't start this. He didn't start the whole thing with the smelter. He didn't start the data centers, but he supports them because he sees the advantage of, I've always said, I have my saying that some of our people have gone so far right that they're back over to the left. They've gone around.
I think Pat borrowed that from you too.
Yeah. And but that it is true that we got so many people that are so bent against whatever it is that they've become environmentalists all of a sudden, and like you and I know that the state of aluminum smelting is nowhere near. They're thinking about Pittsburgh steel.
Yeah.
Corning glass, all these things that you do, and aluminum's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
And they don't take the time to really research it. And not only that, the smelters today, but I've seen a shift now. Now the shift is no longer that it's environmentally bad. It's that it's owned 60% by Saudi Arabia. That's the new one. That's the new argument.
You want foreign investment. Remember Trump?
It's staying here.
Remember what Trump said before he got elected, before he took office? He had somebody from Japan come over and says, "Yeah, we're putting, I think he said 500 million," and Trump says, "Come on, make it $1 billion, make it $1 billion," And you got all this money coming in, and you know what it does? It increases the value of the dollar.
Yeah, I mean, in Oklahoma is the one that's going to benefit from this with jobs, taxation, the whole deal. It'll lower our tax rate because there'll be so much more. I mean, all these things, people just don't stop to think. And the thing is, what's better for a foreign entity, Toyota, Nissan, Mazda, Volkswagen, Mercedes, to build their stuff here and then employ people here, or for us to have them build it overseas,
right?
And it's bass backwards. You have them. You do everything overseas. The money stays there. You're building their economies, but these people don't. They're
remember what
like
Trump said. We are the hottest thing going right now. Prime Minister of Canada, Carney.
By the way, 55% of all aluminum right now that we have is produced in Canada.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, go ahead.
Take Carney, for instance. Who do you work for? Goldman Sachs, one of the top investment houses here in America. Do you know that 90% of Canadians live within 100 miles of the U.S. border? 90%. Mexico, it's the opposite. Only 8% live within 100 miles. Mexico is a more independent nation than Canada is. Canada, it's like they're all just, bloodsuckers leeching off barnacles on the side of the ship.
Yeah, it's funny to me because it brings up this thing of all of the Americans that are moved to Mexico City. And the Mexicans hate it. They don't want the Americans.
Yeah.
the Mexican. But it's a whole, and they interviewed the Americans and they said crime in Mexico City is very low.
Yeah.
It's clean. It's this, it's this.
Yeah.
It's when you get up north towards us that everything, they hold all the money.
The bad neighborhoods.
They hold all the money down in the central and south of Mexico.
Yeah, but you take a look at, what's his name, Nigel Farage. What line of work did he have? He was an investor.
Right.
He'd fly to New York for the week and then fly back home. What I'm saying is, and this happened during the Reagan administration, when America became the hot commodity, the booming economy, they all brought their money here and exchanged it for U.S. dollars. What did that do? It increased the value of the American dollar against other currencies. This is the dynamic we have going here. Now, our dollars are worth more, and we can leverage them in our purchases, in our travels, everything we do.
Right.
And this is the thing that Gentner Drummond is trying to tell you is a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. The people are being worked. And it's the Republicans. Democrats, they have a single issue. Get the Republicans.
Yeah.
That's
now,
all it is.
This whole ban on foreign buying of land, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to support that kind of thing. Because, I mean, if a family wants to have a winter home on Grand Lake and live the rest of the year in Winnipeg, who am I to say that they shouldn't be able to?
Yeah, but I think that's different from buying farms.
But on paper, it's not. It's still buying real estate.
I understand, but it's not individuals buying a home in a place. It's a country basically buying. So no, I see it differently, and we just need to, it's using your head on who and what we're allowing to be bought or sold or done.
I don't know. Sometimes property values going up, you could say is a bad thing. Sometimes you can say it's a sign of progress.
But it's not even about the property values. It's the, what is it being used for? And in the Chinese case, for example, right? In fact, here's what's funny. The old president of Kenya, Kenyatta, he owns hundreds of acres in Texas and farming cattle. And you got all these people from Africa that are buying land too. Now, they're not a threat, but somebody like China building facilities near our military bases, our secure facilities, et cetera. That's and that's where the government has to step in for certain, national security issues. But generally, I don't want, if I've got a piece of land, I want to sell to the highest bidder. Well,
and if all of a sudden, you pass laws that disqualify 4 out of 5 prospective buyers, now I'm going to have to settle for somebody else who's not going to give me the value I wish I had.
Right. But see, at that point, if you start selling out purely because of you can get more money without checking the consequences, then you're actually killing yourself in the long run. Your posterity in the long run, when they have no value left or no ability left to control what they do have. Yeah,
but when it comes to farmland, the old man and his wife die or go into the nursing home, it's up on the market now.
It doesn't matter. They can't take it with them anyway.
I understand.
I don't worry about them.
But if their kids are looking at, okay, I guess it's time to sell the farm. What are the laws now? I mean, it wasn't like they were prospecting, buying and selling, day trading on farmland. It's just, this is the time now. None of us want to be farmers. Mom and dad are in the nursing home or died. And, let's get the best price we can.
Right. But again, you've got to look at the long game. You can't just sell to anybody. It'd be like,
they're only going to sell one farm.
That's once. Like saying, oh, I'm going to give my daughter or let my daughter go marry some hitman, a mafia guy, because he's going to take care of me.
Okay.
I mean, that's what this sounds like to me. This criminal can take care of me better than this straight person over here that doesn't have as much money or access as this criminal.
Well, they have to decide what's best for their family.
But that's not how it works.
Okay.
I mean, that is a sure road to destruction right there.
Okay. But
the love of money, Dave, right? The love of money.
Now, it's one family with one farm that might have been in their family for 3 generations.
That sounds good until you find there's 100 families with 100 farms all being bought by the same people, and they just happen to be around our military bases.
Again, there's national security issues.
I don't hear anybody whining about the fact that Daylight Donuts is now owned by Koreans.
Okay.
Nobody's whining about that.
Yeah.
Right. That goes to your thing.
No, they were a classic Tulsa, or Oklahoma, company.
Daylight. Yeah.
Daylight.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. And nobody says anything about that, but it's because it's benign. Okay. The only reason they're talking about the Chinese ownership of these various other entities. Now, I think we may have gone a little far with the whole deal with the marijuana farms. That all of a sudden, all of a sudden, the campaigns are against the Chinese. They're using the Chinese and
they are the boogeyman now,
right? And they wouldn't be the boogeyman if people just took care of business, did what they need to do, and. It's anyway. I don't want to,
but I do want to say, why is it that Shoney's restaurant I always used to eat at now is a Chinese buffet?
Well, okay. Did you know that Aldi's is a German company?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know? A lot of people know that. Okay. But did you know that what's the place down on Utica Square?
Well, Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's
is on Brookside.
Brookside, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Trader Joe's is also a German place.
They're owned by one of the two Aldis. There's actually two Aldis.
Well,
there's a Northern and Southern.
Well, they're not Aldis. What happened is the two brothers, and they had a thing, and one started Aldi's, one started Trader Joe's. But people don't. Yes.
There are two separate Aldis.
No, Aldi's is Aldi's. Trader Joe's is Trader Joe's. They're two brothers. One decided to go Aldi's. One decided to go to. Okay. Anyway, and they're Germans. They're German. In fact, we used to shop at Aldi's in Germany, right? At the little Aldi's store. Every town had one there, but nobody has a problem with Aldi's springing up everywhere or Trader Joe's because it's something that we need, we like, it's cheap, etc. So the marijuana farms, I don't care if Chinese own a marijuana farm. I'm not buying marijuana anyway. But at the same time, there's this big thing against the Chinese ownership of weed farms. But you've got these Californians now coming in that have conglomerates of marijuana farms. And so, is that any better than a Chinese person owning it? So anyway, I don't know. It's just some of these issues to me are short-sighted.
This is just in Europe, Germany, Aldi Nord, Aldi Süd, and then there's the map. They split up Europe, and they kind of have a non-compete thing, but they've also done it in the United States. One of those two, because they did have a split.
One of what two?
Aldi Nord and Aldi Süd. I don't know. I don't speak German. That's my best effort at it.
Okay, I'm going to have to read because when I read the whole thing, researched on it, and it was basically it's two brothers. One owns Aldi's.
Yeah. One
owns Trader Joe's. And so they came here and they started back. And I didn't realize they started in the 50s.
Trader Joe's was started by, I think it was the Aldi Nord. Started Trader Joe's, but they also still are Aldi Nord. I mean, look at the third paragraph.
Okay, all right, let me ask you a question. Yeah. Which Aldi's is here in America?
I think it's the Süd. I'm trying to remember. It's a lot of facts.
Right. So it's the same ownership here in America.
The Aldi's that are in town here are not the same corporation that owns Trader Joe's. We agree on that.
Right. We agree on that.
Yeah.
But all the Aldi's in America are owned by the same person. I don't care if it's Aldi Nord person or the Aldi South.
I'll check into the facts.
Yeah, good.
Because the American expansion, I don't know if both corporations. Yeah. And you know what they fought over? Because they did have a split over whether cigarettes should be sold in the grocery store. There you go.
Yeah.
So,
but anyway, yeah. So
sin.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's.
But nobody whines. You would have to fight people like my wife to close on Trader Joe's. Yeah. She loves Trader Joe's.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't
stand chicken, orange chicken.
I can't stand Trader Joe's. I don't want to get anywhere near because you got a bunch of frou-frou people.
Oh, yeah.
Walking
it's
in
the
there. Uppity people, And so anyway.
Yeah.
But, hey, listen, we need to wrap it up.
Well, see, your wife fits in because she's got an electric vehicle. See, you're one of those gas.
That's what did. Trader Joe's made her get an electric vehicle. All right. So anything in the sports world?
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with, this new pro football league called the NCFL. And it looks like the SEC and the Big Ten, I don't know if they're going to leave the NCAA. Because it seems like they want to just have a football package that's just Big Ten and SEC. And I think ESPN would love that because they own the SEC.
They own the SEC, right. And I bet, I'll be honest with you, I have a feeling that Fox would probably love for them to do it because then they'll get everybody else. And eventually that is going to implode upon itself. And because the thing America is known for around the world is competition.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, the people that get the ACC, the Big 12, the Mountain West, all these other schools, if they did that, you made this super conference over here with those two, I bet you one or more of these other conferences, US, or what is it? The ACC, not the ACC. What is another American something? It's the one TU was.
Oh, American Athletic Conference, AAC.
The AAC, yeah. That will grow, and of course, what helps it grow is the money, radio and TV money.
Yeah.
So that's why I see it. I don't worry about those guys.
Well,
but you're right.
We always used to talk about the Big Five, the power conferences, and
now it's 4.
What's that?
Now it's 4.
Yeah. You basically, the ACC, Atlantic Coast Conference, they pulled some good moves after the Big 12 pulled. Brent Yormark has done some incredible things, but here lately, especially the Texas Tech thing, Yormark didn't handle that real well.
No, he didn't. You're right.
And, and that's a funny thing. And just a little follow up on Sorsby, the incoming quarterback who had some bad history on gambling. He's out in the cold now because the NFL won't allow him to play, won't allow him to sign as a free agent.
Right.
Why? Because they got this rule that everybody has to pass through the draft first. And they earn their free agency many years later.
Right. But see, here's the other thing. They have the supplemental draft that they can use. That was in July. But the the NFL then said, we're not doing it. And I know why they did it. It's because the pressure from the NCAA pressured them to not do it because it would undercut them. So let's say, you got kids out here, other kids, and they're gambling or something. If you let this guy get away and skate, these kids can say, "Oh, I can always go to the NFL."
Well, let me ask this.
I don't think it's right. I'm against it.
If it had been a rookie involved in this kind of sports gambling
in the NFL,
in pro football,
right,
they'd get punished, right? I assume.
Probably they should. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that was part of the deal is why should we let him in? Because now we're saying he has an exception to the rules.
Yeah, but I guarantee you the rookie, not just rookie, the veterans in the NFL, what do they do with them? They send them to rehab. They give them a certain probation, a period of time. Okay. Well, Sorsby would not have played until September. Actually, I'm sorry. End of September, I guess, is when or is it August now that it's, I guess it'd be the last week of August, unless college usually starts first week of September, I guess. So he would have had, 9 months to go through rehab and not gamble before he played. Yeah. So that's what the NFL does. They'll put because you had it with the marijuana people, they send them off to someplace and then if they show they're clean, boom, you're good to go after a certain amount of time. So that's how you would do it. But I guarantee you the reason the NFL didn't hold that supplemental draft to take him was because the vengeance from these other, they wanted to teach a lesson.
I can talk about this now. I ran into Steve Craigthorpe, the former TU coach. And he was dating one of my clients.
Now, he passed away, right? Didn't he?
Just recently.
He had a mental...
he had a stroke.
Right, but I think
he had Parkinson's.
Parkinson's.
Yeah. And I was talking to him. He had just been diagnosed with Parkinson. And I showed him a video of a cop from Rapid City, South Dakota, that is benefiting greatly from a CBD oil with some THC. And you could see it on video. It was just amazing. But I said, Steve, this doesn't work with everybody with Parkinson's. In fact, not even half, but it is there. And I kind of gave him advice on how to get his license and stuff. Steve was a very clean-cut, good Christian man, and he had a very strong policy on substance with all of his players. And I knew his kids, they really lived it, you know, truly. He just, unfortunately, some bad mistakes and his marriage fell apart. So Steve was getting ready then, and I didn't follow up on this because he had a stroke. And so I don't know if he wanted, but he did make a statement changing his position on marijuana for therapeutic reasons.
As I understand, I think the NFL has changed their whole position.
He was one of them that was a strong advocate for it. He says, we can't just say anything that's illegal is bad. We need to start objectively saying what specifically is wrong.
But let's get back to the college thing, because I don't want to just drag this.
Yeah.
We got to wrap up. We're almost 2.5 hours. So
anyway, that was Steve. He changed because all of a sudden life hit him, and he could see the medical benefit for himself.
To me, the issue with Sorsby, the NCAA, it wasn't a clean. It was just a dirty thing, and because if they really wanted to help the kid, they would not say, we got to punish him, keep him. Yeah, we're going to hurt his livelihood for the rest of his life because he got involved in college. And there's 2 schools that he went to where he was actually gambling. They did nothing to them. And now they're trying to punish this other school. So it's a hypocrisy.
It was more than anybody. It was Texas Tech that identified it, addressed it, and handled it responsibly. And now who's getting punished? Texas Tech.
Right, which is it. So
they did nothing wrong.
I had a guy call me, Mike Mazey's dad. He's a Notre Dame guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he was telling me about Texas Tech, that we got into it. And he said, he didn't know. That's the problem, too. The media has not presented this properly. And I told him, he said, Really? Oh, well, you got to talk to this friend. This friend of his is this, I can't remember his name, but anyway, he was really vehemently that Texas Tech needs to be punished at Sorsby, And then we start asking him these questions, and he couldn't answer. He didn't know either. And therefore, you know, once we got done, he said, wow, that's totally different from the understanding I had. And that's the truth. These people just don't know. And then for Drummond, that's another Drummond idiocy. He decides to jump in on that whole issue and try to somehow be I don't know what you would call it. He wanted to help their attorneys for the Big 12 in this case against them. And in the end, what really happened, I don't know if you know this or heard this part of the story, but the Big 12 ended up spending, I don't know, several $100,000 or maybe $1 million or whatever. In this case they were bringing against Tech and Sorsby, and now they're trying to get their money back. Yeah. Well, you idiots, you should have just left it alone. You know, and you wouldn't be out this money. You know, I mean, just let the thing run its course. So anyway, Dave, we need to wrap it up. But hey, we hope everybody has a good week. Pray for this country. Pray for the world. And as Crosby, Stills, and Nash said, teach your children. Yeah. And that's the most important thing we can do is train our kids to grow up properly and have the right values. Yep. Other than that, everybody, God bless and have a great week. And we hope we'll see you again next week. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yo.